pitch that clearly worked. Our guest host, James Caan, helped launch Insynergy Investment Management, a firm which seeks global investment opportunities that are not normally available to retail investors. Joining us now in the studio, Spike Hughes, the CEO of Insynergy. Spike, very nice to see you. Thanks for coming in and seeing us. So, what was the silver bullet? What made James commit to your business?
I think there's a huge gap in the market between what investors actually want very often and what investment groups try and build and sell them. And we became very frustrated with that and actually wanted to launch an investment company where the starting point was actually meeting investors' unmet needs. And James has always been very focused on consumer first, rather than the product provider. And so, because we were actually launching funds that specifically spoke to the heart of unmet needs and then building solutions and bringing them to those investors, I think that was a model that really attracted him.
Right. Brent Hoban was just saying you've got to have the idea out there in 2 minutes. Did we just get the idea out there in 2 minutes?
I think we absolutely did, because what Spike touched upon is that principle of I've got something the market needs, the market wants, and it's not available. So to me, that really got to me. But also, fundamentally, I believe that it is people who succeed in business, not just products and services.
Right.
And in Spike, I saw an individual that have the characteristics that I look for when I'm investing, because to me, ultimately, it is the entrepreneur who is going to bring life to the opportunity. And in Spike, I saw somebody with passion, drive, determination, but most importantly, he had a clinical track record that said, I did this yesterday. So
interesting you bring up track records, because in financial services, track records are incredibly important. A lot of funds won't invest in other businesses. A lot of people won't give money to businesses if they don't have the kind of track record that you're talking about. 10 years of doing what you've been doing. Are you an entrepreneur, or are you just a guy that's taking it to the logical next step?
No, I think I've always looked at the market and looked to see where the gap is, and I think if your starting point is always the consumer and the unmet need, then that is a very, very good place to start. What you then have is to bring something that's very durable and sustainable and works and actually delivers to that need over a period of time.
Can you be an entrepreneurial fund manager?
Definitely.
Right.
Most definitely. And I think if you look at the conventional world today, most fund managers, their starting point is actually not to meet the client's need or to manage their risk. They're more preoccupied with... I'll give you an example. Most people's life savings and pension funds have been decimated in the last year or so, and fund groups go along to the clients and say, we've done really well, we're only down 45% in the last 12 months, the market's down 50%, and it's relative performance, and all the client says is, my need is to preserve capital and grow it, not to track the index and beat that by 2%, still halving my savings. And so, if you actually build something where the starting point is preserving capital and growing it, that is speaking to a client need. Perhaps linking more interestingly to this subject, ethical was a very new concept a few years ago, and very few people could access ethical funds with, for example, their pensions and savings. Yeah. And yet now, almost every fund group has got an ethical solution that you can invest in. With us, we looked at a similar market, which was the fact that there are 2 million Muslims living in the UK, lots of wealth in the Muslim community, and yet, despite the fact that there are thousands of conventional funds you can invest in, there wasn't anybody offering a Sharia-compliant fund that invested in UK equities in the UK market. And so we launched the first one. Historically, people have had to choose between meeting their religious needs or their investment needs, but haven't been able to do the two together in one solution, and that's what we brought to the market. And what we're finding is not only are Muslim investors very interested in something that invests in a Sharia-compliant way, but also lots of ethical investors are as well, because not only does it avoid the tobacco and the alcohol and armaments and all those things, but also it avoids the financial companies that are heavily laden in debt. Exactly. And of course, the credit crisis probably wouldn't have happened had everybody been following Sharia law, because we wouldn't have had that debt. So not only does it make good sense for Muslim investors, it actually makes good sense for all investors.
Spike, can I just say, I'm in. I bought that pitch.